There's been a lot of publicity on that, but we are looking at more in the biofuels area. The cellulosic, northern Michigan really can benefit by the cellulosic market. This is not happening overnight, but over the next few years, there's going to be more involved with that, with using other products besides corn to produce a renewable fuel. And this is another excellent opportunity for us economically. The things are looking bright for northern Michigan.
I think they are. And I wanted to go back, first of all, to the winery topics, because the way it was described to me is that when you process grapes, there is per acre a much higher return than maybe some of the other commodities. And that's because of the value added and the integration of the production. Is that a logical, how does that work? That's more profitable than maybe some other types of product?
One of the groups I just met with is the Wine and Grape Institute people, and Linda Jones. I just met with her, and we were discussing this because there again, I've got a lot to learn on different areas of agriculture, and this is one area that I'm learning about as rapidly as I can because it's an exciting growth area for us. And with that aspect of it, we only grow 14,000 grape acres in Michigan, and that kind of surprised me. I said, just 14,000, and I said, well, how can we handle more? And she said, oh yeah, there's room to handle more, and it's slower in developing, and it's cost intensive too, and you know, we need to maintain what we have and then slowly expand outward. But it's just an exciting area that we have the ability to grow in, and you're
right. The region
is small. Your assertion about the acreage involved is correct. It's a relatively small amount of acreage.
Yeah, but it's also interesting to sort of see where other areas are starting to pop up. There's wineries outside of Sheboygan that have opened up that are they have a great wine. And then I was up in the Sault Ste. Marie area, and they're having the small vineyards that have been opening up on Sugar Island.
Wow.
And the reasons why is similar to the old Mission Peninsula because of the microclimate. If you take a look at Sugar Island on the St. Mary's River, they actually have about a 10-day longer growing season than the old Mission Peninsula. Wow. And that's just because of the way that the winds come off of Lake Superior. And so those, it's amazing to me to start taking a look at these microclimates and the microclimates interaction in northern Michigan, because we think always about cherries, but you're seeing growth, and grapes, you're seeing a growth in a lot of these other sort of small specialty products that are going to carve out niche businesses. Where do you see the horizon? You talked a little bit about ethanol, and I know that there's been a lot of push throughout the United States on that. You talked a little bit about cellulosic. Let's just step back to the listeners so they understand, if you can, in like a layman's term, how does it work, and then what are the different inputs that you can put into this?
Sure. With ethanol, part of the problem, if there is a problem with it, is that it's been basically corn ethanol, corn-based ethanol, and there's been a concern about that aspect of it being so narrow.
Right.
Cellulosic is an expansion of that. Cellulosic is you produce a kind of fuel like ethanol. However, you use things like agriculture waste products, wood waste products, trees, switchgrass, all kinds of things that are not just one sole base like corn is.
Right. Now, we were up at the Michigan State Hort Research Station that they have over in it's north of Drummond Island, and it's been there for a long time. They use it as a test area for tree growth and a baseline for a lot. And they were talking about this as an evolutionary process that they're saying that over the next 5 years more research is being done through your organization, and then I think Michigan State's got some of the top gurus.
That's correct. Michigan State was given a large federal grant to pursue this more, and you're correct about the research. That's key at this point in time. Michigan State has done the vast majority of the research, and Michigan Tech is involved also with cellulosic in particular because of the wood-based industry. With switchgrass as an example, some of this is happening in northern Michigan plots. Switchgrass can be grown more on non-fertile wasteland type things. So where we have some vacant land that maybe isn't as good for corn or soybean production, those can be put to productive use for switchgrass.
Now, can you graze switchgrass with cattle, or is it not?
Yeah. Right now with switchgrass is very much at a preliminary stage.
Okay.
There's the research aspect that's being done right now, and that's why part of what Michigan State's major grant was to look at how to do that quicker and better. You don't plant switchgrass one day and then that same year it grows. It's multi-year to grow the switchgrass crop. So it's a little trickier to do, but it can be done on a poor soil base.
Okay.
So we can put a lot of vacant land that we have to use growing that. So it's an exciting aspect about that. Also, they're talking about fast-growing trees, where somebody can plant a tree that's in 7 years ready to feed a cellulosic mill. Our wastewood, a lot of our farmers and landowners have small woodlands in northern Michigan. Well, it might be more profitable in the future when you harvest your trees off that land. There will be somebody that will take the waste and come in and harvest that as a follow-up, and you'll get double the money for the acreage. So a lot of our people are able. When I say our people, I mean I live there too, in northern Michigan. A lot of our people are able to make some extra bucks by utilizing what's on their woodlots.
Wow. And that all keeps the farmer more profitable, and hopefully then this whole issue of sort of sprawl and development. One of our dear friends, mutual friends, George McManus, always said the best way to keep open space is to keep the farm profitable.
That is correct, because when there's the incentive for people to stay there, they're going to stay. People choose agriculture as a way of life, and they choose to live on that kind of acreage. But if it becomes cost prohibitive to be able to do that, that's when you have more and more sales taking place to development. So that's another thing the department will continue to work on, is to do our share toward promoting open space and doing what we can as a department to encourage that. We are interested in maintaining agriculture acreage in Michigan, and for all these good things that we're talking about. We can't have all these good things happening if we don't have the vacant acreage to do it.
Right, I understand. Talking a little bit about some of the other challenges the department's been facing and representing the areas over in Rogers City and Posen. How are things going with the TB and the zone and those types of things?
I'm glad you mentioned that. And sometimes I hesitate to comment on that kind of question when I'm asked in a newspaper interview, because I don't want to ever be misquoted on it. It's too important. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I understand that's a part of the world we live in.
When people can hear what I have to say, I have no trouble in talking about it. And right now the department is unfortunately having to work with a major issue with the TB, with herd testing. Part of this is people say, why would you do that? We have to do it according to the USDA if we want to be able to market Michigan beef anywhere. We have to be able to test and to get our herds TB free, so that we're not in effect semi-quarantined with where we can sell our product. It does not do any good to have 990 out of 1,000 herds tested and willing to test if the other 10 don't, because you're not going to attain that. The UP is classified as a TB-free zone. Why? Because all the herds there tested TB-free. So therefore we got the designation. In order for northern lower Michigan and mid-Michigan to attain that, we have to be able to test to show USDA we are TB-free. That's what this is about. The Michigan Department of Ag has no desire to run around and to do that kind of activity unless it's absolutely necessary. I mean, there's a lot of activities that we'd love to be able to do that are not running around giving cows TB tests. But it's necessary, because we also understand that we're going to have to maintain a TB-free presence. We had this in Michigan until 1979. In 79, we tested TB-free, and the issue went away for a while. When I say went away, it stayed with the deer herd. It didn't reinfect the cows. But then it started to reinfect the herds again. I believe it was 1990. I don't want to give a date because I'm sure. It was in the 90s when it reappeared here in Michigan. Now we have herds infected and getting reinfected. The culprit in this is, you say, well, how would this happen? It's deer. It's in the deer herd, and the deer herd are spreading it by feeding in close proximity to our cattle. Therefore, the problem. So I know that people would just as soon not have to deal with this, nor would we I mean, my word, why would we as a department would we want to deal with this unless we have to? And it's a responsibility as part of our regulatory role in our advocacy role. How do you think those other 990 farmers would feel if somebody, one group or one individual, caused them to lose everything that they've worked for as far as getting TB free and working toward attaining that ability to move their cattle because they didn't want to be tested?